We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the WGNS Action Line, talking with Rutherford County newsmakers about what matters most to you. Now, your host, Bart Walker.
Well, hey, how are you today? Welcome into the Action Line. Even though it is going to be a warm one today, you can be dreaming about going outside on a nice, cool morning and working in the garden. Today may not be that nice, cool morning, but in your mind it could be. Or you could go out, when the sun goes down. That might be the better thing to do. We're going to be talking about your gardens, your lawn, things of that sort. We've been getting some rain, and that has helped a lot of the lawns. I've noticed a lot of the yards which had not been getting a lot of growth, they're getting some grass now, and it's turning green once again. Yeah, that's what's gradually making some changes there. We have some master gardeners with us this morning. Debbie Nelson is here. Debbie, how are you today?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you today.
Good to be
here.
You
brought a buddy with you.
I did. Yeah, Mr. Bill Bryson, who I understand you know.
Everybody knows Bill Bryson.
Well, he is a graduate of our 2024 Master Gardener program, and he kindly volunteered to come and join me this morning to talk about a few things and answer questions.
Very good. Bill, good morning.
Hey, great to see you, Bart. Always great to see you and great to be with you this beautiful morning.
You had some memories of early days here in this building, didn't you?
I'm afraid I started here in 1978. My radio and TV career started right here and in this room. It was a lot different looking now, but it was in this room. The only thing that didn't change is you. You still look as young as you ever have.
Thank you, boy. I'll pay you after the show.
I'll look forward to that. That'd be great.
Are you still painting?
I'm painting in retirement. Yes, I still paint quite a bit and enjoy doing that, and have enjoyed this year getting involved with the Master Gardener program. This is unique in some ways that my wife and I are husband and wife becoming master gardeners this year.
Both of you.
Yeah, we thought we could both use the knowledge, and what she forgot I might be able to remember, and vice versa, but I don't know if that's the case. There's a lot of information, and it's been great.
Now, this is a good opportunity for some people who are listening who are thinking, I think I would like to do that, and so you've jumped in and you're ready.
Bart, I want to tell you, I tried to think preparing for this today, other than marrying my wife, having my daughter come into the world, and then 2 grandboys, it's right up there. I've always wanted that little green badge that says Master Gardener on it. And so this year we took the plunge and decided to do that. Patty and I have some property up in Bradyville, and we raise cut flowers up there. And we thought, boy, we need to learn a little bit more about soil and water conservation and air and all the good things. And it has been unbelievable, the amount of wonderful information we've learned in this program.
We have a question here from a listener, text message, and they're asking, what about doing work outside in the yard early in the morning or after I don't guess the sun goes down, but when it starts getting dusk outside? Nobody wants to work in the yard in the dark out there.
You think maybe they're asking about, is that a good idea?
Yeah, they're wondering if that's a good idea.
So I think it's an excellent idea because sometimes, especially now when it's so hot, you can become ill from spending too much time out in the heat. And your plants get stressed in the heat just like you do. So it's probably a really good idea to work in your lawn and garden early in the morning and later in the evening.
So is that the optimum time to water the plants and what have you?
So in the morning early is the optimum time for watering. Often in the evening, if you wait too late in the evening and you overwater, you can cause problems. This time of year when it's so hot, sometimes it's good to water your plants a couple of times a day. So to give them a little drink in the evening is great. Just be careful and don't overwater, because then you can cause problems with mold and mildew.
Well, since they're wondering about watering at this time of day, what times should they water? I mean, like 6 o'clock in the morning or
Well, everybody's definition of early in the morning is different. So I would say
Mine is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, I would say as early in the morning as you can, and
Okay.
then if you can't do it early in the morning, do it later in the evening. 5:36 when it starts to cool off a little bit. But lately we haven't really had much cooling off until after dark.
The other part, Bart, should be remembered is the water absorption is going to be much better early in the morning or late in the evening. When you're watering out there in the middle of the hot day, a lot of that evaporates and never really gets a chance to go into the soil.
That's right.
So you're maximizing whatever you're watering if you'll do that early in the morning, or when I say late in the afternoon, about sunset, 6:30 right now, 7 o'clock. It's comfortable to work. My wife always says to me, we're going to work smarter, not harder. and for us folks that are pushing the latter part of our life instead of the beginning, it's a lot better to work smarter and do that and it's more enjoyable. It's more enjoyable for you to be out there at that time.
Now, what about these? I've heard soaker hoses and things that drip into the plants.
Drip irrigation's great if you can do that, if you're knowledgeable enough to set that up. Soaker hoses are wonderful, again, because the water doesn't get up into the atmosphere. It is directed to the soil, and all of that water softly oozes into the soil around your plants, and you can direct it. I know there are times, especially with the last 3 weeks, when we had these high temperatures and no rain, no presentable rain for 2 or 3 weeks. If you have a soaker hose and you put that around your dogwood tree, all of that water is going right there. It's not going on the pavement. It's not going out on the street. It's not going anywhere except where you direct it, and pretty much all of that will get soaked into the soil.
And drip irrigation and soaker hoses also avoid throwing water up on the leaves and blooms of your plants, which is often unhealthy for them.
That mold and what have you grows at that time if you get it up there. So sprinklers that go up in the air can cause that to happen.
And Bart, this is a great opportunity to talk about a program that the Rutherford County Master Gardeners and Rutherford County Extension offer for the community, and that's our Garden Basics program.
So how does that work?
Community members who want to improve their gardening skills but don't really want or have the ability to volunteer the way our master gardeners have to, can participate in this program. It starts September the 26th on Thursday evening for 5 weeks from 6 to 8 p.m. And extension agents and master gardener experts both teach these classes, and they are geared to improve community members who are interested in gardening to improve those skills. And if people are interested, they can go to the Rutherford County Master Gardener website. They just Google that. It'll take them to the website, and there's a link there for the Garden Basics program. It gives them more information. It gives them the registration form. And they can do that either online or they can call the extension office and register that way.
Okay. Our phone number is 615-893-1450. A question, a listener says they're planning on going to the farmer's market tomorrow, and they want to know about talking with some of the master gardeners about some of the issues that they're having with their garden.
So every Tuesday and Friday during the farmers market hours, we have master gardeners doing walks and talks with visitors. And these master gardeners can walk them through our demo gardens and talk to them about the demonstration gardens that we have, but they can also answer their questions on gardening.
So you'll actually physically go with them to those gardens?
Yes, we are in the pavilion across the street from the farmers market. And we have signage up so we're easy to identify, and there are usually at least 2 master gardeners there. Also, we have the garden leaders, so the person who's leading the herb garden project or the pollinator garden project or the vegetable garden or small fruits are often there as well and can answer questions specific to their area of expertise, if you will.
Now, tell us about some of those special gardens that are available, because obviously a lot of newcomers to town don't have a clue that's all out there.
Well, it's a great place to learn again, Bart. And the really nice part is right now you can see the vegetable garden. You can see it in process. The tomatoes are growing. All of the plants are in full steam right now. The native garden where we have native plants that people can see what really goes well and what is from Tennessee is there. And surprisingly, there's a wonderful sod display out there, and you can, if you're thinking about putting in grass or doing a lawn, there's 8 or 10 different varieties in plantings, and you can see, does it feel like what I want my grass to feel like, or what's the maintenance of that? But there will be experts there that'll be able to talk to you specifically about any of those questions you might have, and it's a great way to look and see and find out without spending too much time.
You know, everybody should be, I think everybody in Rutherford County should visit the agricultural center out there. It literally is a park-like setting. There's a great walking track out there. There's a big pond. There is
which has fish.
There, yes, and you can fish
great
out
for the
there.
grandparents to take their kids.
That's right, and there's a vineyard out there. There's small fruits there. As Bill said, there's the trial plots of different turf grasses. There are other trial plots out there that the extension agents run, and then there are the gardens that are managed by the master gardeners and the interns who have completed their classroom activity and are working on their volunteer hours.
Now, some people just love working in the garden. Some people love to spend all their waking hours in the yard. Is there any way to know which type of grass is the easiest to work on, and also for people who really love doing stuff, which one takes the most maintenance?
There is, and unfortunately, to be a negative in your question, we're in a zone that's very difficult to grow. Kentucky, you can grow bluegrass like mad. It's okay here, but normally in the high heat, it goes kind of dissipates and thins out. You have to replant and reseed each year. But with zoysia and Bermuda, it grows great in Chattanooga South. Here, it does pretty well and does great in the high heat. It loves that high heat. But in the winter, you have to say, well, I'm going to have a brown lawn this winter. And that's kind of okay for some people because they don't want to have to mow it. That's an advantage to having the Bermuda or the zoysia. But, yeah, the gardens out there are great. And I would say if you ever want to see a weed-free garden, come out there and visit, because the master gardeners spend a lot of time making sure it looks perfect for the public to come visit.
And I know you've had Mitchell Moat, one of our extension agents, on previously.
Absolutely.
And he's really the grass expert, I would think, for Rutherford County. So people can certainly reach out to him at the extension office. Most of our extension agents are going to tell you the first best thing to do is collect a soil sample. People can get the box and the form for the soil sample submission and drop it off there at the extension office, and they'll send it into Nashville where it's tested, and you get a very detailed report back. But Mitchell is a great resource if you want to talk about your lawn.
Okay.
And like Debbie said too, we are blessed in Rutherford County with some great ag agents.
Yes.
We are unbelievably blessed with people who are knowledgeable, they're kind. I don't think they have a heart bigger than wanting to share information and get you to feel comfortable in whether you're growing vegetables in a pot or you're growing an acre of vegetables. They want to be there to help, and just contacting the ag agency out there, they're great to help.
Now, with your butterfly garden, does that also attract hummingbirds? Because we have people often interested in doing both of those.
You know, it's interesting that we actually have a sign out there that calls it a butterfly garden, and our leader of that garden, Rand Powers, he directs us all and reminds us that it's really a pollinator garden. And he and his team have done a great job of labeling all the native plants out there with how many pollinators each plant attracts. So many pollinators are specific to certain plants and vice versa. And we do have native honeysuckle and other plants out there that are attractants for hummingbirds. Now, when we see them or whether we see them out there, I have no idea.
Interesting. Here's a question. The person said, I was listening yesterday and I heard the county mayor on, who is also a beekeeper, and he was talking about how the season started off as being gung-ho for bees, and he was ready for perhaps one of the biggest seasons of bee and honeys that he's ever had. But he said suddenly it all ended, and it looks like it's going to be a down year for honey. What would be the cost? If you have the certain garden, can you have certain plants that would make it not a down year?
Now, I took an 8-hour class this year in beekeeping, and I haven't started that yet, so I'm limited in my knowledge, but I'm going to tell you what I think is my best guess. Bees have to have flowering something all the time to continue to harvest so they can produce honey. I think with the drought and the high heat that we had, we lost clover. We lost some of those plants and vegetations that the bees relied on. Not to say that they're not still producing honey, they are. I just don't think we'll see the windfalls that we've seen in the past when we've had, say, a half an inch of rain every week for 10, 12 weeks and not overabundant rain or not enough rain for 3 weeks. But my guess is that that's one of the reasons it's slowed. And when it gets extremely hot, the bees spend a lot of their energy cooling the hive, and that nest of bees that are in there have to keep that hive cool, and to do that they fan their wings, and that's how they keep the hive. Well, if they're in there fanning and producing air conditioning for the hive, they're not out there gathering the pollen. So that may be part of it too. Now that's a guess. I don't know for sure.
Guess for me too would be bees have a limited radius that they fly from the hive, and it may be that you know how sporadic our rain has been.
Oh yeah.
It may be that the radius where those bees in his hives are able to travel, have not been as many flowering plants, to Bill's point.
And if the other thing about the bees, if you just grow a small vegetable garden, I encourage you to plant some flowering flowers near it, marigolds, other things. Pollinators love that, and when they're attracted to that, they're going to help you pollinate your squash, pollinate your tomato plants, the cucumbers. All of that's going to improve if you can attract more bees to your area.
This is an interesting question. This person is wanting to ask you about some of the unique flowers that are available in the gardens. They say that they have loved, they said, first of all, no one has ever accused me of having a green thumb. I can relate to that person. They're wanting to grow iris, and they said they've had great success with growing iris in years past. They've even divided them on a regular basis, just like their friends told them to do, and it's worked every year, but this year they do not have any blooming irises. What could be the problem?
I would suggest, because even though we're master gardeners, we're not experts in everything. So I would suggest, however, one of my nursing school professors said, the second best thing to knowing something is knowing where to find it. And UT, the University of Tennessee, has a great resource online that has information about gardening and plants and flowers and bulbs. And so if they go to the UT Hort, they just go and Google UT Hort, H-O-R-T.
I've never heard that word.
It is, well, it's horticulture. It's short for horticulture. It will take them to the UT Hort site, and there's a search function there, and they can just put in iris, growing iris, and it will take them to the literature that is available at UT. And these are experts. These are horticulturists that have provided this information. And I don't know if they've done any trials at UT with irises, but I know there'll be some information out there for them.
With it being the state flower, I assume there probably is. And to repeat what Debbie has said, that site has just been redone. It used to be, if you typed in iris, you would get every report from every gardening thing across the world. It is now so simple and so easy and so great. I know I was looking at putting in blackberries or an orchard for apples and pears. You go there, you put in pear growing. It comes up. It's simple information that helps you get started. What varieties grow well in Tennessee? And normally there are 3 or 4 videos also attached to that is done by extension agents across the state, and they're telling you in like a YouTube format how to plant them, how to grow them, what the pests are. It's greatly informed. So ut.hort is a great place to go.
And for your individual caller, I would look at what if anything has changed in their garden that could describe or explain why the irises have not produced. It may be nothing, and then it might be that a soil test would be beneficial for them.
Could be all of a sudden a downspout has changed direction. Now we're getting too much water to that area. Irises like it pretty dry and pretty hot usually.
Well, this should be a good year for them.
It should be great. and also, when you're dividing them, one of the things that can happen pretty easily is we want to plant too low on irises. It's always great to mound up a little bit and put that tuber right on the top. Don't cover it, just set it right there on the top. And a lot of times if you're planting even down below and the soil is covering that, you're going to get less flower production and more.
And while it's hot right now, remember that in the spring it was quite cool and quite wet here, so that may have had an impact as well.
Well, how often should you divide the iris? And when we say divide the iris, somebody listening may have not fooled with irises before. What do we mean by dividing the iris?
It is, they get too close together, and that then slows down production of flowers, the tubers, yes. Mm-hmm. So when those get knitted together like two hands kind of clenched, you want to separate those, and you're going to get more iris that way. It's going to be great. And one of the great things about iris in Tennessee is there's always a neighbor growing iris that needs to share some. So it's always an easy way to get the colors that you want or the new varieties or what have you. But normally, Bart, if you've got 15 or 20 iris, I'd say every 3 or 4 years you need to take a look and see, is that whole bed nothing but iris now? And if it is, it's a good time to find a new bed and make a new area.
So they spread pretty quickly.
They really can. Iris are really good growers here in Tennessee. We're again, state flower, and that's the reason I think they made it that way.
You wouldn't make a state flower if it was hard to grow.
Tough to grow. Yeah.
We will be back in just a moment. We're going to check on the traffic and weather. Stay with us. Our guests today from the Rutherford County Master Gardeners, Debbie Nelson and Bill Bryson. Stay with us. We'll be back. If you have something to buy, sell, or trade, call me. Weekday mornings at 7:50 for Swap and Shop.
WGNS, AM, FM, and online.
Hi, this is Peter Demas with Demas's Restaurants. One of the places I love to eat out the most and still be able to do so and maintain a healthy weight is at Demas's. You can get those options on the menu online at www.demasrestaurants.com. You can make the decisions that you want to make before you come in. We have options ranging from grilled chicken to fish. You can get it with a side of green beans or spinach or even zucchini. Please have your family join our family for lunch or dinner at Demas's.
Hi, this is Amanda at Animal City, inviting your family to come do business with my family. If you find yourself feeling stressed, come enjoy the benefits of fish in our Tranquil Aquatics department. Studies have proven that watching aquarium fish can reduce stress and lower blood pressure. We are proud and thankful to be celebrating our 33rd year in the Murfreesboro community. That's Animal City. We're at 919 Northwest Broad Street, right here in Murfreesboro. Please check out our Facebook page.
Good morning. Still a little bit of radar out here in certain areas, especially out in Dixon County this morning. Be careful. Traffic's on the increase even more in the last few minutes. 65 south at Trinity Lane in Marshall County. They're on the scene of an accident. It's got traffic slow on the interstate down there on 65 around the 24-mile marker. Again, that's delaying some folks coming up from Marshall County. Prince's Hot Chicken has new items on their menu. You got to check them out online. You can order online at princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
A heat advisory is in effect for the forecast area. Mostly sunny skies this afternoon, high in the upper 90s. Tonight, slight chance for storms late, partly cloudy, low of 77. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 78.
Hi, this is Ryan with Tire World Laverne, here to serve all your automotive needs in Rutherford County. We welcome all your fleet and commercial accounts, along with all your regular routine maintenance. Tire World, a hometown family business you can trust.
We're News Radio WGNS 100.5, 101.9, 1450. Online and on your phone at WGNSradio.com.
Want to say happy birthday to Douglas Irvin. And Douglas is the winner today of that delicious banana pudding from our friends over at the Slick Pig Barbecue. If you're looking for the best place for lunch or dinner today, head over to the Slick Pig. Definitely have some banana pudding, and which goes phenomenally with either the barbecue sandwiches. I just love the soup over there, the Brunswick stew. It is phenomenal. Slick Pig Barbecue. It is near MTSU at 1920 East Main. Also, congratulations to our good neighbor of the day, Dawn Davis. Somebody said Dawn Davis always makes time for her friends and family and is encouraging even in your darkest hour. A real positive person. Sunshine for everybody. Dawn Davis receives flowers from Jenny Harrison and the family at Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts. And when you're needing something to perk up a life for somebody, maybe be that sunshine, that's what you need to do is head over to Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts, 117 South Academy Street. Our number, if you want to join us this morning, it's just sort of an open forum, and we're talking about lawns and gardens, 615-893-1450. Master Gardeners Debbie Nelson and Bill Bryson with us today. And we've talked about the Master Gardener program, but there's an opportunity for people who love gardening. Bill's already said he jumped in, he and his wife both. Is there a special time of the year that you make that move and say, I want to sign up, and are we close to it?
I'm glad that you asked that, and I'll give Bill the opportunity to talk about his experience in this program. But the Master Gardener classes begin in January. They usually occur every Tuesday for 14 weeks from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I say usually because in some years they have offered evening classes. But the last several years, it's been 9 a.m. to noon on Tuesday mornings over at the Ag Center. And the people who are interested can go to the rutherford.tennessee.edu website, and it will take them to a link to the Master Gardener program. It will give them more information about the Master Gardener program. It will give them the application form and the next steps.
Is there a charge?
There is. It's previously been $150. And I don't, with everything else, it may have changed or it may change in 2025, but that's been the cost. And you get a lot of things for that, because with the programs, not only do you do the classroom, but you get hands-on, what we called in nursing school lab time, where you get to actually put some of these things into practice.
Thick workbook too that you get to take home and use as a resource, and that's a great thing about it too. You know me, Bart, I've been involved. I raised bonsai trees for a lot of years, had 300 of them at one time when I first moved to Murfreesboro, and built 2 Japanese gardens. So I thought in my little pea brain that I knew a lot about gardening. I had no idea what I didn't know until I took this class. But it was a wealth of information and the resources. The other thing that I want to mention that's great about it, the camaraderie amongst the folks that are master gardeners is unbelievable. We have our own Facebook page, and there's always questions and who knows about this and who can help me with this problem. And then when we meet once a month at our monthly meetings, everybody's talking about gardening and what's working well. And normally there's plant sharing that goes on like mad, because everybody has too much of what they've grown, and they bring those in and share with people. But it's been a great experience and a great resource to have in your back pocket to know how do I get the plant where it should be in the environment it should be. And when we figure that out, life is great. It works great. It's amazing how many times you can put a plant in your yard. I need an azalea right here. And for 2 years, it just kind of sits there and looks at you. And then when you start to discover why it's not really, and you move it somewhere where it's happy, and it takes off, and it does what it's supposed to do. But that's one of the things that Master Gardeners is really great at, teaching you about soil conservation, water conservation. As Debbie mentioned, 9/10 of it's getting the soil right. And if you'll just get a soil test once a year.
Boy, that's true.
It helps with everything, whether it's vegetable gardening, lawns, everything. The other thing I wanted to mention is if you're thinking anyway about taking the class starting in January, I'd encourage you to go ahead and try to get registered, because it does fill up pretty quickly. Try to do that at least by, I think, September, wouldn't you say, Debbie, or October?
I would say the sooner the better.
Right.
Yes.
There's no doubt. But it will open your experience. Every month we had ag agents across the state on Zoom that were in their specialties, teaching their specialty about the different types of soils that we face and the different conditions climates that we have. And we have 3 big regions in Tennessee. From the mountains up in East Tennessee to Mississippi, where it's hot and the valley's low, and it just helps you a whole lot understand more about your environment and how to grow in it.
So be active and learn more about this here. And if you're moving here from some really different area where it's cooler or hotter or whatever it is, you need to learn about this area.
Well, you're going to be a lot happier because your plants are going to be happier.
And take it from me, after talking to folks over the years, the plants that you grow in Washington State are not going to be the same ones you grow here or even from Florida.
Doesn't mean you can't, but it may be a little harder for you to recreate that
That's
kind
right.
of situation. That's true. That's true.
I remember we used to have a lot of people wanting to grow banana trees, and I understand they do grow now.
Well, especially with the higher heat, they do seem to be prolific, and you sure can recognize them from the street when you go by.
Yeah.
Now, I've yet to see many bananas on them, but the trees.
Oh, really? The trees do well.
I don't know about that for a fact, but I've not seen bananas on them, but I've sure seen the banana trees, that's for sure.
Okay. So do you have a section in the Master Gardeners that you go through that if somebody really wants to do some unusual plants, that you work with them? I mean, bananas are different. I don't guess anybody's tried coconuts or anything of that sort.
I would say that rather in the Master Gardener program, it would be better to visit the extension office or come out to the ag center and meet with the Master Gardeners and ask your questions to the Master Gardeners. And we can probably locate someone who has some expertise in that, or we can point you to good resources online that can help answer your questions.
Now, a lot of people nobody's mentioned this yet, but it just hit me. With so many newcomers in our community, we've talked about going over to the Lane Agri-Park for farmers market, go over to the Lane Agri-Park and learn about the Master Gardeners program. Probably a lot of people have no clue where the Lane Agri-Park is. How would you tell a friend, well, here's how you get there?
It's on John R. Rice Boulevard, and if I were trying to tell someone, I would say go down Old Fort Parkway toward 24. Now, I'm coming from the north side of town on Memorial. So you head toward the interstate, and you'll see there's an intersection for John R. Rice Boulevard that crosses Old Fort Parkway. There is a convenience store on the right. There is a Starbucks on the left. There's Sam's Club. You turn there to go to the Sam's Club, and probably 3/4 of a mile down on the left is the Ag Center. That includes the Extension office where the Extension agents and their staff have their offices, as well as the farmers market area, the Master Gardener demo gardens, the vineyard, the great walking path that is out there around the lake.
But Sam's, if you can get to Sam's, you're awfully close. Sam's,
right.
Then Paws, the P-A-W-S.
That's right, Paws is there.
Right.
And if you're going that direction, Sam's first, then Paws, the Ag Center's right next there.
So go over there and do the grocery shopping, get fresh peaches and, whatever. Get a few
Whatever's in
flowers.
season right then. Yes, sir.
And then on the way home, pick up a puppy or a cat.
There would be no problem. And what you didn't get, you can stop at Sam's, I guess.
And Bart, you asked last month, there were some questions about a pawpaw tree, some discussion.
Yes, did you bring some pawpaw?
There is a pawpaw tree in our garden out there. So if you wanted to,
on the
and
lake?
there are pawpaws on the tree.
Okay.
So if you wanted to see a pawpaw tree with the pawpaws, which are still green, there is one in our garden out there.
And I asked you at that time, but have you been able to sneak in and get
Try
a few?
one.
Try.
Well, I'm from West Tennessee, and it's so much easier to grow things in West Tennessee often than it is here. And
Well, come to think about it, that's the only place I've seen the pawpaws.
Yeah, pawpaws are very common there, so I've grown up eating pawpaws.
Reelfoot Lake was where I saw my first one.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I'd heard about them all along. I saw my first one. I still have not eaten one, but somebody said it's the greatest fruit, that it tastes like, was it bananas?
It does. Has a creamy texture, and it's very familiar to me with a banana. Very familiar.
Is it sort of sweet, or did you have to?
No, it is. It has sweetness. It's like any fruit. The riper it gets, the sweeter it gets.
Okay. Bill, have you had it?
I have not. I saw it on moonshiners when they collected pawpaws to make moonshine.
Why did
They made moonshine out of it. It was hard to find any fruit at that time, and that was my first introduction to it. But now I'm sure Debbie hasn't made moonshine out of hers.
Well,
But,
we don't want to get into that. I don't want to embarrass
but
them.
I've heard of pawpaws, and I think they're really, people are getting very interested in trying to populate that and make it more proficient around this area.
Maybe it's not the reason we thought that they were wanting to get involved in it.
Well, it's possible, Bart. We'll have to save that for the moonshine show.
We'll have the sheriff on one day.
There you go.
Ask him about pawpaws.
Stills and Thrills will be your new show.
Oh, boy. 893-1450 is our number. We're going to pause for just a moment and recover from the pawpaw. We'll be right back.
From the tallest tower in the city limits of Murfreesboro to every radio in the land, WGNS AM/FM is everywhere you need us to be.
Hi, this is Tina Fox at the Rutherford Farmers Co-op. Please come and see us for all your gardening, home, and farm needs. We have a great selection of clothing, farm items, and also our wonderful gift department. Please come see us for all your gift items. And we also have local honey. And if you're interested in being a beekeeper, we do have supplies for that. We have from hives to suits to whatever you need to take care of those bees. We're located at 985 Middle Tennessee Boulevard, just off of South Church.
We're excited to announce that Capstar Bank is now officially a division of Old National Bank. All those friends you've made while banking here over the years, well, they're still there. And so are the delicious, warm, homemade cookies.
In Murfreesboro at 2230 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Everything you enjoyed at Capstar, still there at Old National Bank. Old National Bank, ready to serve you.
Old National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Another service that I offer to make a funeral book. This is Jenny at Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts. And when I do that, I go to the funeral home and I'll take photos. And I'll add photos with some other items and verses and personalize for them. It's something they can treasure. And when I feel that connection with them, I feel I can do my best service to them. Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts, 117 South Academy, just a couple blocks off the square.
Spend your middays with us, Rick and Bubba. We're on WGNS each weekday from noon till 2 on News Radio WGNS.
Welcome back. Just a few minutes left in our show. 615-893-1450 if you have a question you want to text to us. 615-893-1450. And I understand you're doing podcasts. Podcasts are the in thing. And there's a Master Gardener's podcast program. What kind of items do you have on that?
Well, currently, this year, there are historical podcasts from previous year, and this is done with the Linebaugh Library through the library series. So interested listeners can go to the Linebaugh Library, Rutherford County Library System website, and they can find the podcast there. This year, there have been podcasts on community gardens, and we have some great community gardens here in Murfreesboro. And then in August, they're going to be recording a podcast for rain gardens. So people have wet areas in their landscape where you can have problems with pathogens populating. There are plants that you can grow in those rain gardens to help filter those things out of the soil and out of the water as it drains. So they're going to talk about that in August. I believe they're recording that on August 5th. And it'll be posted to the Rutherford County Library System website sometime after that.
Okay, and since you mentioned podcast, I want to mention to people that this program today, as well as all of these, are in podcast format on our WGNS website, which is WGNSradio.com. But if you have another favorite podcast site, this program is also on every podcast site in the world. And there are 4 major ones, and it's on every one of those under WGNS.
That's great.
We appreciate you doing that, Bart.
So,
you.
It's just there for people to, obviously, sometimes you have to be at work at this time of day, and you can't figure out how to get off to listen to the show.
Well, and our primary mission as Master Gardeners is to spread knowledge about gardening, and we do that through our volunteer activities. So we have lots of volunteer activities in the community that allow us to do that. And to your point, you were talking earlier about working in the garden, and you may want to be a master gardener and gain the knowledge, but you may not be interested in digging in the dirt. You might be interested in other things, and we have lots of volunteer opportunities to share your knowledge and skills. You don't necessarily have to scratch in the dirt.
Hey, here's a listener who says, I'm ready to start my backyard garden. I'm thinking about doing a raised bed garden this time, though. I'm becoming a senior citizen, and I don't want to get down on my knees and scruffle in the dirt. I'd rather sit in a nice chair at a nice, comfortable level. Is it too late to start one of those raised bed gardens this year?
You can grow fall gardens. We just, out in our vegetable garden, planted squash and kale. I think they may have planted some lettuces. My point is there are crops that you can plant now to harvest in fall. So I would say no, it's not too late. It's getting close to being too late, so if they want to do it, they need to get started right away.
Carrots, things like
Yes.
that are cool
Lettuces.
weather plants. Lettuces are great. They don't do really well in the high heat of the summer. You're better off planting them early spring, but later in the season when things start to cool off again, it's a perfect time. And carrots are wonderful. The neighbors love it. The kids love it because they come up so quickly, and you get to harvest that pretty fast. But the hard part will be, I think, for this person is getting it prepared.
That's right.
That's the time-consuming part. So that may take a little longer to get from the sketch on your piece of paper to actual ready to plant. But the ready to plant part, if you go ahead and start now, I think you'd be perfect timing for the cooler weather and to do some of those cool season plantings.
At home, I just planted carrots, lettuce, spinach, squashes for fall harvest. And anything that can tolerate cooler temperatures and has a growing period, which ends before our first typical freeze in our area, I would say it would be worth taking a chance and trying that.
Now, how deep do you want this to be? I mean, if you're preparing that first box, do you just go out and build a box, or do you get a tub, or what do you do?
Well, you can do all kinds of things. We have out at the Ag Center, we have lots of different demonstrations of different types of raised bed gardens. You can use hay bales. You can use horse troughs. You can use flower boxes. You can use the fabric bags that they sell at the big box stores, at Tractor Supply, etc., that is specifically for growing things in a controlled soil environment. So it's really up to the gardener what meets their needs best. For growing carrots, you probably need at least 14 to 16 inches of soil to be able to grow your carrots.
Now, where do you get the soil? I mean, is it just...
Again, lots of different options for that. You can go to a greenhouse nursery. You can go to a big box store. You can go to a Tractor Supply, etc.
So people do sell soil. It's not just...
Sure, and there are recipes out there for how to mix your soil depending on what you want to grow, and they're easy to find. And we can help them if they want to come out to the Ag Center. The extension agents can help them if they want to contact the extension office.
Or even the walkthroughs on Tuesday and,
yes,
and Friday would be great because
Absolutely.
they can see. And
so you actually have them where people can look at these.
Oh, exactly. And the other thing I'd encourage this person to do is about their physical ability. Probably, some people in wheelchairs even, they make the planter boxes taller so that they can almost get underneath them up close. And then you, in that instance too, think about how wide you want to make that raised bed, because you want to be able to reach at least halfway across, so from either side you can get to it. Well, let's make it 8 feet by 8 feet. Well, you're going to have an awful lot of that you're going to have to get up in that bed. So if you make it narrower, say 3 feet, you're only reaching 1.5 feet up there from either side, and then you can make it as long as you want.
And we actually have a countertop height raised bed example out in the veggie garden area at the Ag Center.
Now, since this is a smaller container than your backyard, is it easier to put in irrigation systems and just make it where it has everything? You just turn the water on and it waters itself.
I think it's another good example of using the soaker hose, probably for my suggestion. Yeah. Unless you want... Hand watering's great. You get to see the plants. You get to see what's growing, what's doing well.
And you talk to them.
You can talk to them. You can sing to them. You can play your favorite radio station while you're out there. It's great. But you get to see what's going on, and you can oftentimes interact. If you have some pests that come in or whatever, you can react to that more quickly. If you're putting...
You're talking about the neighbors?
Yeah, the neighbors, yes. You definitely want to put up a neighbor detractant because they're going to be over there wanting to know what you're doing. But, you can react quicker. But, no, the soaker hoser, the thing with that is you're putting it maybe on a timer, and you're not going out there every day or every 2 or 3 days. But we're fortunate. Most of the time in Middle Tennessee, we get 1/2 inch of rain or so usually every week. And that's enough, usually. When we go 3 weeks without any rain, it makes it tough, and you do have to hand water more. But that's part of it. Being in the garden is out there hand watering and pulling a few weeds. But it would be easy for this person if they had that.
On that note, we want to say thank you to everyone for joining us this morning. And this has been a special show. The Master Gardeners program and our guests today, Debbie Nelson and Bill Bryson. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget Farmers Market tomorrow from 7 in the morning until noon, and that's at the Lane Agri Park tomorrow. Don't miss the Farmers Market. We'll see you then.